Yep. All right, cool. We are live. Sorry, guys. YouTube was not opening on my laptop, so I had to run next door to my regular computer. Just start it from there. No, I need it. It's part of a. All right, this will be back. Sorry. I don't remember what I was saying. We're just beginning. Checking to make sure that it's working on Welton's Inc. on YouTube. I did also play around with trying to stream directly to Meatgistics. Didn't seem to be working too well. We've got some more work before we can do that. But eventually, the goal is just to do these on Meatgistics under a category called Livestreams. That category, then all of the comments will show right underneath the video. That will make it a lot easier on us in the long term. Just looking to change things. I mean, YouTube's been good, but you always got to worry about, when they control everything, they have all the say. So we're looking at hosting things directly on Meatgistics as well. We'll still use YouTube, of course, because it's a wonderful audience and it's an amazing service. And it's a great way to get out the message that we're trying to get out. If anyone has ever done a super chat before, can you tell me why I'm not able to super chat? I tried super chatting someone the other day and it didn't work. I'm thinking maybe they have blocked it on my account for some reason. I don't say anything crazy online, so I don't know what it would be. So let me know in the comments. All right. So we're going to do a few things today. I'm going to report on one of my experiments, let you know how it went. We found out some stuff. It wasn't necessarily what we were looking for, but in the end, it worked out pretty well. Then we're going to go over, I'm going to answer any questions you guys have on the Welton's grinders, the Welton's stuffers, and really any other questions that you might have on any product. So first, let's talk about my failed experiment, because it didn't produce the results I wanted. I was talking to somebody this weekend and we were talking about activated charcoal. They mentioned that just 1 tablespoon, I think it was just 1 tablespoon, has more surface area than 2 football fields. So if you laid it out flat, like single grain or whatever it is, it would cover 2 football fields. I immediately thought that that would be a way to increase the surface area of a smoke pan and use it as a way to increase the relative humidity in our smokehouse. Reason we're always looking for easy ways to do that is cooking with humidity is going to A, give you much, much better results as far as the dryness of the product, and B, it is going to cook it a lot quicker. 2 huge things. So in the past, we've come up with a couple of ways. We used automotive sponges in this large, oversized pan. Now, I wanted to show you guys, this is just under 4 quarts of water, and this thing will take all of that. So try to find some sort of pan that will fit in your smoker, take up minimal amount of space, but will hold about 4 quarts of water. So just adding that does help, but it's only going to raise the relative humidity inside your smoker by a couple of percentage points. It's better than nothing for sure, but it's not helping us out as much as it could be. We've put automotive sponges in there. You just get those big car sponges, get them all wet, push them down in there, leaving as much of the sponge out of the water as possible. It acts like a wick, dries it or pulls it up, and then it's got all that extra surface area for evaporation. And if you look at a sponge, you'll see deep in there, there are all the little tunnels and stuff. So all of that is surface area to allow us to evaporate water off of. Another thing we played around with, and you'll see how much I've used this by how dirty it is. This is an Aqua Dry, I believe it, yeah, Aqua Dry towel. It's basically a chamois. So it's stiff and hard when it's dry, but if you put it in there and then hang the rest of the towel out of the water, just so the bottom of it is touching the water, you're going to increase your surface area pretty dramatically. I did this once and emptied an entire 4-quart in about 4.5 hours, which was unbelievable to me. That's when I switched from using automotive sponges to this. I didn't do any testing on what the relative humidity was inside the smoker that time, though. I just wasn't set up for it. So I wanted to see exactly what we were getting when we were doing this method. So I set up what is, in essence, just a jury-rigged wet bulb, dry bulb system. So what you do is you get these 2 probe thermometers about probably 3 inches apart. You put a wet sock over this with just a piece of cloth that goes over this and then hangs down into water. Didn't do it over this one because I didn't want this messing with that. So I did it up at the top of the smoker, and then this, they both read the temperatures. This is the dry temperature, this is the wet temperature, and you can use that to calculate your relative humidity inside the smoker. So with just this, we did I think it got to 34%. Now, it was extremely dry out. Relative humidity was very, very low. So that tells me that doing this method increases it by about 30%, which is great. That is way better than we're doing with just a water pan on its own. I then tried adding the activated charcoal on to this cloth. My thought was, as this continues to wick water up out of the pan, it would interact with the charcoal and it would just dry it and would pull more and more and more water out of it. That's not what happened. It literally made no difference whatsoever, the activated charcoal. So if someone's got a better idea of how I could use that, please let me know. But what I did find out is that if we push this water pan all the way to one side, put all of this cloth that we can in there, but make sure that the other end of it is touching this large pan, which this is our drip tray. It's just in the PK100 to catch dripping fat, falling pieces, to keep them out from the heating element that's in the bottom. This acts as a wick and continuously draws water up out of here. It then has all of this additional surface area to dry or to evaporate off of. We got it 14 points or 14% higher relative humidity with this method than we did with just the cloth or the chamois in the water. So if you have a PK100, this is a great use for your drip tray. It also had the nice added benefit of that's the cleanest that drip tray has looked in a really long time, because it was bringing down water, heating it up. It loosened some gunk that was on there and it could never get off. So absolutely recommend this method if you're trying to increase the relative humidity in your smoker, which for almost everything we want to do at least at some point. Like I said, it helps it cook quicker because it prevents moisture from evaporating off the surface of your meat. That's acting just like sweating, and it's cooling down the meat. So if you prevent it from being able to evaporate off there because you've already got so much water in the air, it's going to cook quicker. So, cool. Let me look at chat. I don't know why I can't pop out chat anymore. Very annoying. And then Austin and I had a meeting on Tuesday, and we have 2 changes for Meatgistics that we're going to have Node BB, which is what Meatgistics is run on, work on. They are both, I think, at least awesome changes. The first one we're going to try and do is treating groups as categories. So if you wanted information on a group like the PK100, you could go to that group page, and then there would be all the posts underneath it that had anything to do with the PK100 or Masterbuilt, whatever smoker you have. They would also have their own spot on the front page of Meatgistics. So it would be, roll call, all of those together in Welton's community, podcast, and then right underneath that would be groups. So you could click on them there and look at it that way. It just seems like an awesome way to organize information. And then the other thing I've been wanting to do for a while is be able to just type in certain products, have a special character around them, and have that automatically hyperlink back to waltonsinc.com. Just make it much easier for me to tag or direct people to whatever I'm talking about. So those are two things we are working on. Oh, why isn't that running? Yeah, okay. So there was no sound at the beginning. I didn't even check for that. Ryan, Super Chat is like something people use to get their messages read on busy live streams. I was trying to do it on a Tim Pool one. I wanted to tell him kind of what we do and offer to teach him how to do it because he's expressed interest in things like that in the past. Just be some good, easy advertising for Meatgistics. So this is our 22 grinder. This is the one that I use almost, well, I mean exclusively at this point. And I want to show you guys something. So one of the advantages of the 22 and why I think it's my favorite out of all the Welton's meat grinders is that it can use Specco plates and knives. So a Specco plate and knife is a commercial level plate and knife. It is going to be, God, that's a long time. It's going to be made of a little bit better material. It's going to stay sharper longer. And once this surface gets dull, you can send it in to us, and for a small fee, we'll go ahead, resharpen it, send it back to you. The cost of sharpening a plate and a knife is far less than the cost of a new plate and knife. They're a little bit more expensive than the initial plate and knife, but depending on how often you grind, you can definitely make up that pretty quick. Now, in the first iteration, the 22 is going to be the only one that is able to use these Specco plates and knives. The goal is long-term to be able to have them all use a type of Specco plate and knife. You can see on this, or maybe you can't see, it's got a little nipple on the top of the plate. And that's designed to give it a little bit more stability. So it's gonna ride that auger all the way out to the front. So it's sticking a little bit straighter. It's not starting to tilt a little bit. If you have a loose stud in the middle and this hangs down, your knife, as you turn, is gonna start eating into that. Even if it's just a fraction of a degree off, it's gonna continuously eat into that and dull your plates and knives quicker. So, one of the reasons I love the 22. I will let you guys know, on Monday we're doing our monthly live stream, which is where we do all the giveaways, everything. We are gonna do a little bit different of a giveaway this time. I'm giving anyone the option of up to a 22 in a grinder. If they'd rather have a 12 or an 8 for some reason, they're welcome to it. Or an 11-pound stuffer with a 50-pound meat mixer, or the 50-pound meat mixer and an 8-inch Welton slicer. So whoever wins is going to get their choice of any of that. Just thought it'd be a cool way to let the winner choose whatever they actually needed. Now, I'm still kind of trying to get in touch with last month's winner, but if something doesn't change in the next day or two, the live stream on Monday is going to have another redraw because January's winner never contacted us and claimed their prize. I think what it is, this is what I'm imagining it is at least, is people put out email addresses that they never check. Like I have an old email address that I literally never check. It's got probably 100,000 messages in it. And I assume that's what people are doing here. And if that is the case, and I'm sorry, but I'm kind of glad they're not claiming them, because that's not who we want. We want people who want to be engaged, who want to see the emails we have to send them when we're doing sales, giveaways, things like that. So, but their loss, your win. We are going to draw. What's wrong? Oh, hold on, guys. All right, we should be good? Yep. Cool. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Were we having a battery issue? Yes. Yeah, okay. All right. All right, so I'm going to look in chat, see if there are any questions. Ryan Jones said, don't question me. That's text. Said, for you not to question me.
That dude? I'm sorry. I don't know the fan's name.
Dean, it could be that. It also could have been the lower battery thing. But it also could be my lapel mic just rubbing up against t-shirt material. It seems to be happening more recently.
I don't know why.
I have no idea why.
No, we have different channels, so they're set at different.
Okay, so hopefully we have that fixed.
Is it too quiet for him? I should turn it up.
Ooh. Ramen Bubba says, what about humidity beads for cigar humidor or electronic humidifier for... So, we've talked about doing something in the past where basically we would make and sell a kit that you could drill a hole into the bottom of your smoker and it would send in humidity. The problem with that is that you're not controlling the humidity, you're just adding more. That's not necessarily the end of the world, but we just didn't feel like there are kits out there that you can go and buy if you want to do that. We didn't need to step in there. But those beads are an interesting idea. Yeah, just literally.
If they could take the heat. I don't want to interrupt.
No, that's a good point. They may not be designed for that level of heat, but I'm going to look into that. Thank you very much. That is a good idea. This is kind of my constant pet project. Anytime I hear the word surface area or anything like that, I start listening in real close because I want to find a way to get above I mean, if we could get up to like 60% relative humidity in a home smoker, we'd be making commercial level products. The ability to dwell, which is to get to an internal temperature and keep it there, and add and remove humidity are really what sets a commercial smokehouse apart from like the PK100, which is an awesome smokehouse, well insulated, but you're not controlling humidity, you're just adding it. And I mean, it's got somewhat limited capacity. But yeah, no, that's really interesting. I will try that. Yeah, being able to auto tag parts. So it would just be like a special character, like the vertical caret on either side of it. And there would only be, we would have to maintain a list of those links. So Meatgistics knows when, hey, you see this in between these two special characters, send it there. So it might not be every product initially, but eventually we'd get it to the point where it's all the seasonings, it's all the grinder stuff, it's all the stuffer stuff. It'd just be awesome and a lot easier, because right now you have to do a little markdown thing and it takes a while. Yeah, no, Trap and Joe, I remember from the last live stream, but no, I just didn't. I totally forgot. I will email the guy right now. Actually, I did email somebody. Sorry, hold on, let me look through my emails real quick. Come on. I didn't get a response on that. So I will email the guy. So we have somebody here who works in our sales department now who that was what they did. I hopefully will get a response during the live stream so I can let you know. Gabriel Hart, G-Chart, that's what your name is in my mind. Love the new Welton's 22, but now I just have the plates and knives that came with it. Wish I could have come with a smaller knife. A smaller knife? What do you mean by a smaller knife? Like, you want to use the largest knife that you can with that, which is a 22. I don't even think a 12 would fit on this center stud. I don't think that hole in the center is big enough for it. Might be wrong, but I don't think I am. Another Welton's order is always a good idea, though. Couple other things before we move on to stuffers. I was questioning the usefulness of this product. It is spray duck fat, but I've since fallen absolutely in love with it. It is amazing if you're doing a reverse sear on your steak. When you are doing your slow and low cook to begin with, don't use this. Just put your seasoning on as you normally would, but right before you go to move it to whatever your hot surface is, I use the little sear box, but there are plenty other ways to do it. Hit both sides of it with this and then just a little bit more seasoning, and oh my God, it's good. It is really, really delicious. And a nice little whatever is your dogs will adore this stuff. If my dogs aren't eating, and for whatever reason I need to, just a tiny little spritz of this in their food and they go crazy for it. So, but yeah, that is going to be on sale this upcoming month. So keep an eye out for that. It should start on the 1st, which is Monday. Also on Monday, obviously we're going to do another live stream. It is the Welton's monthly live stream, so it should be Austin and I. We've got February's winner to draw. That's going to be the tumbling package. So it's a Marinated Express tumbler. It's one each of Excalibur's injectable seasonings. It's a marinade injector. I think there's a couple of other things. Basically, we were just giving away grinders nonstop. So we wanted to switch it up and do something else so people didn't just think of it as the grinder giveaway. But I do have to say, I'm extremely pleased with the 22, how it came out, how it does. I mean, I've put 1,000 pounds already through it, never had an issue. I fully froze some stuff kind of on accident, and I was able to get through it without clogging the grinder. So plenty of power, and the ability to use a higher quality plate and knife like the Specco plates definitely helps. Right now we have the 1/8 plate and a 3/16 plate. This is what a 3/16 plate looks like. This is what a 3/8 plates look like. So it's the size of the holes in these. There's one smaller than this, which is a 1/8 plate. We don't have a Specco of that right now, but we'll look at changing that, because this does a very nice job on the second grind, as long as your meat's cold, you're not trying to run warm meat through it. But with a 1/8 plate and knife, it would do even better. I've been trying to tell everybody this anytime I'm talking to anyone. The best way to get your second grind, especially if you're doing it through a small 1/8 plate, is to try never to use the stomper. Just feed small amounts of meat down the throat until, as you're looking from the top down, you see the auger. You want to see no meat in that auger, because it's just showing you this tiny little piece. All the meat will be here. So at that point, just feed down a little bit more. Your second grind will go so much faster than if you use the stomper and try and push everything down. I think it creates some sort of back pressure, and it just does not do anywhere near as well. So yeah, I'm very happy with that thing. Smaller hole size. Ah, gotcha, yes. So that's kind of what I was just talking about. The 1/8 plate, it's not available in the Specco, but the Welton's 1/8 plate is what I use, and it works really, really well. So yeah. let me see if I can. Sorry, J. Michael Kaminsky was saying, can you turn up the volume a bit? I'll try to tweak it just a tad. Oh, I think I can do it from back here. How is that? Is that too loud? Somebody let me know if this is too loud or if this is better. Okay, so if you don't have a small 1/8 or 3 millimeter plate, basically 3 millimeters is your 1/8, 4.5 millimeters is your 3/16, and 10 millimeter is your 3/8. So not at all, he says. All right, I'll be right back. Might as well turn that back then. Where am I going in through? No, that's this one. Okay. All right, tell me how that is. Okay, cool. All right, so let me know if there are any questions on the grinder. We can always come back to that. I'm going to talk about sausage stuffers for a little bit. So not a long time ago, about a year ago, somebody on Meatgistics mentioned that they had removed their small rubber feet from the bottom of the base and replaced it with suction cups, and then just suction cupped it to whatever table they were using. Now, you can't use it on a wood table. If the table has any texture, it's gonna be hard. But if you have a smooth surface like this, it works awesome. In the past, what I would do is clamp it down to the side with just a wood grip. That's great, works, prevents it from rocking, but it does limit where you can place the stuffer. You can't be anywhere near the middle of the table. You have to be right at the edge, and your table has to have can't have a sloped edge. It has to have a right angle underneath it for that to grab onto. These absolutely make a huge difference. So we were trying to get them to add the feet at the manufacturer. Two miscommunications on orders, but the next order that we have coming, which I believe is due in April, will have suction cup feet on them. So that's awesome. Anyone who's made sausage by themselves knows that if you just use the regular feet, as you turn this crank, this is gonna rock back and forth just like crazy. That's gonna make it harder for you as you're trying to stuff the sausage to hold it, because the tube is moving as the whole thing is moving. But I have now found something else that is going to be better. I'm not quite at the point where I'm ready to release it yet, but it should be something that will be back compatible with all older models. So it's something that we could sell as a, quote unquote upgrade. They'd come standard on new ones, but we would sell the old ones for a reasonable price. That should make sausage stuffing so much easier. Well, I don't want to say anything more than that, but I'm playing that one a little close to the vest. All right, does anyone have questions about a stuffer or a grinder? Or anything, really. Questions on how to make any meat product? I finally got all the way caught up on Meatgistics, which is getting tougher and tougher. A couple months ago, Austin mentioned that all he was doing anymore was answering to where he had been tagged. I was trying not to do that, but I mean, every day I come in and there's 30 something new posts that I haven't seen. And often those posts will have 10 different, responses on them, 10 people saying something new. So it's getting very, very hard. We are going to bring in some help. So that hopefully will let me focus on Meatgistics a little bit more again, because that's really what I love to do. Love talking to people about meat processing, trying to troubleshoot some ideas, and the other stuff, that's all just like when I get an idea or something like that. But helping people on Meatgistics is my favorite part of what we do. So, Will what be? If we're talking about the stuffer, the new thing I'm doing for that, those probably won't be ready for a while. I've got to get a working prototype first, make sure it's actually a value added and it's not something that just sounds good in my mind. But hopefully we're going to get on to something like that. Any suggestions for a flavor of beef brat? Yeah, absolutely. The Philly cheesesteak brat works awesome with beef. Really, really good overall flavor. One of the ones that definitely, in my mind at least, works at least as good, if not better, than it does with pork. I mean, it makes sense if you think about what a Philly cheesesteak is. It is a beef product, or at least you hope. So, Philly cheesesteak, 100%. Let me know if you don't like that. I'll go ahead and I can go for forever on brats. I think snack sticks are probably my favorite, but brats are right behind it. Dean, I don't know if we're going to sell the feet separate or not. I imagine we will. If it's, it's technically going to be a wear part, so we will get some extras. And then, yeah, we will make those available for purchase so that people who have the older models, it's really easy. Those feet at the bottom pop right out. And then all you got to do is you got to get a nut over that a little bit and screw it down, but it's not hard. Wiley, do you have 3 and 4 millimeter meat bags? So I assume you're talking about like the ground beef. I don't know what our ground beef bags are, but I don't think they're that thick. I think they're, I want to say 1.5. Those are 2 mil thickness. I do believe we can special order the 3 mil. We do a lot of printing for customers, so our commercial customers will want their name on it instead of just ground beef. So we work with a company who does that. I do believe we can do thicker portions, or it would have to be an entire run, at least 1,000 bags, and I think it's probably got to be 5,000 or 10,000. So if that's something you are looking for, yeah, give our customer service number a call. I will go ahead and post that number in the chat. 800-835-2832. Oh, next Monday, we also have a new podcast episode coming out. It is an awesome one. A lot of you guys will know who it was. He's got an incredible story. It's beyond just cool. He would hate me saying this, but it's kind of inspirational. Somebody who just doesn't let anything life throws at him get him down, keeps doing awesome stuff. So we were lucky enough to talk to him. You'll find out who it is Monday. Most of you, or a lot of you, I assume, have at least seen him on Meatgistics. Michael J. Kaminsky says, I use the Rapid Patty Maker on my 11-pound stuffer, and it beats the grinder. So like beats as in the speed, or is it just easier overall? Because a foot pedal and a grinder is probably going to be easier since you're not having to turn it, but you are right, probably not as fast. That's one of the things. A lot of people stuff their sausage off their grinder because it does the work for them. But I always tell them there's no way that you're going to prevent yourself from getting air pockets into your sausage. It's just not possible. And it's more difficult to get the correct thickness, especially on a natural casing. With a stuffer, that's no problem, especially if you have 2 people. Even if you just have 1 person. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of pounds of sausage, snack steak, summer sausage I've put through that thing, but most of it with either a clamp or these feet holding it down. And very, very rarely do we have a blowout. In fact, Patrick and I were joking about that the other day. He's like, we should take a video every time you have a blowout on a casing, and at the end of the year. It's like, what, we're going to show 4 blowouts? I mean, it doesn't really happen all that often. I don't know, Ramen Bubba. I know you asked him that. I've got a, yeah, hold on a second. Whoop. So these plates, where it would create a problem wouldn't be in the diameter of the plate, because all 22s are going to be at least close enough. They're all basically the same size. What might be a problem is the thickness of the plate. These are about, it's gotta be, no, 9/16. That doesn't, there might be a smaller bit of that, but I can't figure it out right now. And like a regular plate and knife for a non-commercial 22 is gonna be thinner than that. So the problem would be, are you gonna be able to have this in here, have it lock in correctly, and then tighten this down securely? On the 32, you can use better, or the Spec-O plates and knives, but I don't recommend it because you can just barely get that on. I mean, it is close. Without tightening that locking nut down, it's like tighten it down probably more than you really want to. It's just not, doesn't work as well. We're hoping to fix that in future iterations. I need a stuffed for 19 mil. I assume you mean you need a stuffer for 19 millimeter snack sticks. The 11 pound is what I recommend to everybody. The nice thing about the 11 pound is it's got a somewhat smaller diameter piston, which means it requires less force to turn. So 19 millimeter snack sticks are not a problem. If you want to go much smaller than 19, when we sold these initially, they came with a 10 millimeter stuffing tube, a 12 millimeter, and then larger ones for larger diameter sausages. We eventually took the 10 millimeter out of the box. We still sell them for people who want to do 16 millimeter snack sticks, things like that. But we don't recommend it. It is a lot of pressure to put on your gearbox unless you're adding a lot of extra water. So you can still do it with these. We just don't recommend it. So we sell that stuffing tube separate. I've said this, I think, a couple of times. I don't know if on here yet, but eventually I want to make the whole industry where a 19 millimeter snack stick fits on a 19 millimeter stuffing tube. That just makes sense. My other big want is the numbers on the side of a slicer. They don't currently correlate to anything. They're just markings for you to know how thick it is on yours. I mean, I've tried millimeters, I've tried centimeters. It's obviously not that. Yeah, super annoying. Yep, Jeffrey Puro is asking, any update on the Welton's chambered sealers? They'll be here in 2-ish months. So they are definitely on their way. Yeah, Ryan, so we got an update today. It's sooner than we had thought. We got an alert that a shipment was in Kansas City, and we thought it was those initially, so we were shocked. But yeah, no, it's not. This would have been a much different live stream if we had had those randomly this week. I'd be showing them off like crazy. I wish you guys could see this because when I started this bottom tray was totally dry, and now it's got a decent amount of water in it just from this continuing to wick water down into this pan. Excuse me, sorry. It's almost like if you've ever seen those videos of people with a full glass of like connected beads, strings of beads, and they just put a little bit out and it starts going and it pulls the rest of the thing down. And it's basically what's happening here. So just found out about you guys. Love the videos and the website. Just bought everything to make Willie snack sticks and jalapeno summer sausage. Zach, that is a good choice. The Willie's is our #1 selling seasoning, or snack stick seasoning, for good reason. It's got a great, just classic snack stick taste. It's got a little bit of black pepper heat without being obnoxious. And the summer sausage seasoning for or jalapeno is awesome. It's got really fine ground jalapenos though. So if you're looking for chunks, I would recommend putting in rehydrating some dehydrated jalapenos, or if you like the flavor of like the pickled jalapenos, put those out on a rack, let them air dry for 2 to 3 hours, and then you can put them in. The reason you don't want to use like a jar of pickled jalapenos right from the jar is those have a really high vinegar content, and that's going to denature the proteins around it. And it's going to mess with your bind a little bit. So drying them out like that saves you from that. Stuffers will be here any day. They're in Kansas City, hopefully on their way down. I think it's just incredibly hard to get things right now. And for whatever reason, stuffers are an incredibly hot selling item. I mean, we're selling a lot of them. We've adjusted our inventory, like what we're buying, and we still can't keep them in. So it's a good problem to have, but it can be frustrating if you're trying to buy something and we don't have it. But really shortly, they should be here. Okay, I answered that. Beef brat. Justin Brunsvig asked, Thursday afternoon, what's in the mug? So this is just like grape drink mix. We don't drink during the podcast or the live streams anymore. It just got to the point where it was untenable. I rewatched a few of them, and I'm like, oh. Towards the end, I'm like, oh, that's embarrassing. My face is beet red and forgetting what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, we can't do this anymore. I mean, I only live a short distance away, but even that, I was like, we'll do better long term if we stop now. So. Ryan, why are you telling people that? So now that Ryan has blown the secret, hold on, I'll be right back. So what I'm working on is a ratcheting handle for the stuffer. So I bought these, they're that, I don't know, use a ratchet on any type of shape, any size. It's got like little rods in here that push down. And if you push this over our stuffer, and I can turn that with my hand. So if we replace this with something like this, it won't be exactly this. It'll be designed to fit the same material or same size, same shape. Basically, you'll be able to stuff. And when I'm stuffing by myself, here to here is no problem. But then I've got to start pushing up while keeping my hand here and come up and make that turn. That makes it a little bit harder. If you can just go from here to here and then just go back and right back down and right back down and right back down, that will be a lot easier. So that's what we're working on. We're in the works of doing it now. So Ryan Jones spilled the beans. So. Anyone have any other questions? Yeah, I can't actually take full credit for this. Somebody did bring up the idea on Meatgistics a couple of months ago. If this works, if we can get these, that person's 100% getting a free one, obviously. But I'm really excited about that. I just hope nobody jumps ahead of us and steals that idea. One thing that was on Meatgistics over the night was somebody talking about it's not Lem. Can't remember who it is. Somebody has a dual grind in their grinder right now. Basically, they've got a plate and a knife, another section, and another plate and a knife. That's kind of what is called the Gemini system in the commercial world. It lets you technically grind your meat only once, but it goes through a plate twice. In the commercial world, how it would work is one grinder would basically feed into the hopper of a second grinder. The reason that is a better idea in my mind at least, is that your second grind is always going to be significantly slower than your first grind. So if you have your grinder and then 3 inches of metal tubing and then the next plate and knife, it's feeding more into your second plate and knife than it can handle, because your first grind is going to be faster than your second grind. I just see it as a way to, it saves time, yeah, sure, but it's going to overstress your proteins, and especially when we're doing something like a snack stick, a summer sausage, where we're concerned about fatting out during the smoking process. You definitely want to avoid that. And then the other reason I don't think it's a great idea, because if that had a way of being really effective, it would have been adopted by the commercial processors a long time ago. And instead, they'll do what's called that Gemini system, where it feeds into the other one. Yeah, Dean, so what I was trying was activated charcoal. It is charcoal that a tablespoon is supposed to have the surface area of 2 football fields. I was trying to use that in my water pan to increase the surface area by placing it on this. So I kind of coated my chamois or whatever material this is in it, and then put it in there, hoping that as it drew up water, that activated charcoal would absorb even more of the water and force this towel to absorb more water from the water pan, getting, more water up into the towel and hopefully up into the air, but it didn't work. If somebody has another idea of how I could use the activated charcoal powder other than that, I'd be all ears. Like I said, this is kind of my pet project. I love trying to come up with non-mechanical ways of doing this. Yep, J. Michael Kaminsky. Yeah, it definitely would make it a lot easier to be a one-person job. So, Jeff Schmeichel, sorry. I'd be concerned about how quickly it would do it. You don't want it going too fast. You're going to cause blowouts. You'll have air pockets come shooting out into your sausage. And if you've ever done that before, especially if you're using a hydraulic stuffer, it'll blow the casing, not just break it, but I was doing it the other day in our commercial kitchen with our Tulsa, which is a hydraulic. We had backed down the piston to put some more back in because we overstuffed a section of the casing. And I didn't take that into account, so I just started going at full pressure again. That air came out and it blew the casing and made a very loud pop. I was actually pretty freaked out by it. No, Ryan Stevens, what model? Is it the Precision? Is it the orange or black, like food prepping scale, or is it the large Ascali Arty, the glass scale? Let me know. James, I've tried. A salt-free brat seasoning, any sausage seasoning really isn't possible. Salt plays a really important role in any sausage making, in that it's going to help, like with a cured brat, summer sausage, or cured sausage, summer sausage snack stick. It plays an irreplaceable role in solubilizing the protein, making it easier to extract the proteins. For for products that we don't need it to bind together, you can go lower on it, but at 0, it has no taste. I've tried jerky that way, and I've tried sausage that way, and it just, no matter how much other ingredients you put in, salt is really, really important. There's a reason it's the #1 in almost every sausage seasoning. We do have a reduced salt blue ribbon, and I think we have a reduced salt Italian. Both of those are 25% less salt than the full strength versions, but just going lower than that's going to leave you with an inferior product. Okay, so you have the Precision, and it's saying error anytime you turn it on. Is there something on it when you're turning on? For whatever reason, Like most scales, if you have something on it and you hit, it'll go automatically to 0. This doesn't do this. It says, well, that's unfair. That must not have been small enough. Let me see. That time it didn't do it. Okay, turn it off. Put a couple of things on there. So it says ERR. If that's the same thing, just make sure that you're starting it with nothing on it. Then once it comes up, you can place whatever container it is on there, hit the tear button, which is the power button, and it'll bring it right back down to 0. And then if that doesn't work, obviously let me know. We'll get you taken care of. I'm assuming you bought it from us. I love this precision scale. The ability to measure in fractions of grams is so valuable when I'm breaking things down into smaller batches, specifically with additives. Really, really good. Ooh. Luke, that is a great question. I have to imagine it's the sodium, not the crystals. One of the reasons I'm fairly certain I can say that is I have dissolved seasonings in water first, just do it occasionally just to see, and still gotten fine protein extraction. I have to think that if it was the crystalline structure of the salt, once we dissolved it, we wouldn't get that benefit from it. Basically, it's going into the center of the muscle strand and solubilizing that, which then opens it up and lets us get to the proteins. Still requires that mechanical action, like mechanical energy of either mixing by your hands, mixing with a mixer, which will also be, both the mixers will be back in stock in just a couple of days. Yeah, so I could be wrong there, but I don't think I am. I'll probably double check with our application specialist on that. So sodium erythorbate absolutely is a reason for. When I'm doing a binder, if I'm doing small batches, 5 pounds, I measure by the fraction of the gram. Encapsulated citric acid, I mean, 4 ounces to a 25-pound batch. So there's 28 point something grams in an ounce. So you multiply that by 28, and you can get by with full grams on that without a problem. Any of the, what's called California ham spice, absolutely want that in fractions of the gram. And what other additives do I need to go super low on? No, I don't do that like that. Sorry. But yeah, no, with the ability to do it, I do it on everything. Even if I'm doing supreme pizza brat, which is, I think like 1.15 pounds or something to a 25-pound batch. If I'm doing a 5-pound batch of that, I break it down into grams and measure it on that. I don't know. And I'm really normally not like a perfectionist or like that, OCD, but I really do like having that. Okay, so yeah, Ryan, let us know if that continues. That's a really good question with the salt crystals. I'm going to find out on that. And either way, I'll try and post something on Meatgistics. Ooh, let me see if the alderwood stuff came back. Sorry, no, that person is gone. That's fine. They're gone until March 1st. That's on the alderwood question. I will find out about that though. And we'll get back on something. What is he talking about? Yep. Yeah, there's a reason, like Excalibur makes really good seasonings, and they've formulated that to be at an exact amount. Like some of those are, 1.25 pounds to a 25-pound batch. Well, you might think like, how important is that 0.05 of a pound? But you can definitely tell when something's not, especially if you've had it before, it's not quite as flavorful as it should be. And you did everything else right. Like, you kept good care of your meat, everything was cold, you had the right fat content. A small amount of seasoning can make a really big difference. I've seen it, done it before. So, all right, does anyone have any other questions? I'm gonna stick around for another minute or so if we see anything. Just for anyone who joined late, Monday, we're doing another Welton's live stream, which are not like these. Those are the giveaway live streams. We are going to draw February's winner. Unless something changes in the next day or two, we're going to redraw January's winner. And the way we'll do that is just from people who are on the live stream. So I think we had a ton of entries in January, but we're not going to go back to that pool. We will draw the winner for January just from people who are watching the live stream. So it's a great chance for you to win. What was that? I think it was a number 12 grinder. Maybe a number 12 grinder and one or two extra things. I'll check real quick. And then obviously we're going to draw February's winner, which was the vacuum tumbling. That's a Marion Express tumbler, some injectable seasonings, and an injector. And then, yeah, so we're going to give away a number 12 grinder to somebody who's watching the live stream. No. Austin and I were talking about that. Sorry, Ryan saying, did you find out the life expectancy of diamond steels? I don't know if either one of us got with our purchasing department to reach out to the vendors, but I'll try and do that. But we were talking about that. I don't remember why, but we were discussing it. The one thing I will say is it's definitely got to have some finite amount of live stream, but that's going to be dependent on how well you take care of it. The old diamond sharpening steel I had a texture across the whole thing. And as often I had used it, I never saw a degradation in that texture. But on the last live stream, or 2 live streams ago, I used that to dull the edge of a knife so I could show sharpening it. And the spots where I did that, where I went straight on with it and just kind of sawed, it ate off that little coating in that section. Rest of the thing still perfectly fine, just that little section down near the handle, it took that off. So how you treat them is, it's just like anything else. Don't just go toss it in your drawer where it's going to bang around against the other things. Find a place where it can be safe. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. That's an hour. Like I said, Monday, then Thursday, we will do another one of these. If you guys have things you want to see on these, one thing Patrick and I were throwing around was the idea of having 2 cameras in here, turning it on, starting we're going to make sausage. It's going to be loud. We're going to have the grinders going, things like that. But Patrick will look and watch the comments. Anytime there's a question, we can stop, answer that question, tell you why we're doing what we're doing, what the reason is behind we're doing what we're doing, and then start up again. That could be a great thing, could be a lot of fun, and could be helpful to people. The downside to it is, other than bratwurst, Italian, things like that, there's nothing I can finish in an hour. I can't go from A to Z on snack sticks. That's smoking process is, 4 or 5 hours in that range. Summer sausage even longer. So we would have to have something where we, had some snack sticks already ready, and then get to the point where we put them in the smoker, talk about that, and then show the finished product. So it's kind of, whatever you want to call it, TV magic. I prefer not to do that, at least on the first, initial few. But yeah, let us know if you think that's a good idea. Definitely a cool way to interact with you guys. At least I think so. So absolutely. I love doing these, guys. Just so you know, obviously I consider myself pretty lucky to have my job, and this is even better than interacting with you guys on Meatgistics, or at least I think so. So awesome. Thanks, guys.